So on the hem, squaring it up till my ruler hits exactly where that point of that dart is, and draw a line. So it should be a 90-degree angle at the hem. We're going to do the same on the back, front and back. So we're squaring down from our dart point at the end of that dart straight to the hemline. Squaring down front and back straight to the hemline. So we are going to incorporate our dart and the fittedness that we get from our dart into our seam. This is princess line. It means that that dart is going to become a seam.
Does that mean when we cut it, we don't cut around?
We trace, when we're tracing off our patterns, we trace around that line on one side, trace around the opposing line on the other side. Yep. Yep. Then it becomes two panel pieces. Okay, so in our princess line at the top, I want you to watch this one because this is also a tricky one. We always talk about a line, and I quite often talk about it in halves or in thirds. Okay, so when I think about that line there, we either talk about it in halves or thirds. For the front, we talk about it in halves. So my new armhole line, if I imagine a halfway point roughly, that's where my finger is, I'm going to put a mark there. So and you can eyeball this, imagine that straight line there, find the halfway mark and put a point there for me. If, when you do this point, if your notch happens to fall really close to that point, you would then step away that notch. So you'd rub out that notch and you'd move it away a couple of centimetres so it's not anywhere near this princess line where you draw it up. So your notch should never be close. So even if it was a centimetre away, too close, I'd step it away 2 centimetres from my notch and rub out and redraw my notch in. So it's nowhere near, it's not going to interfere with my princess line seam. Because now what I'm going to do is I'm going to connect that little mark that I've done to my bust point. Can everyone see that? I'm going to draw in a curve that connects that line to my bust point. I can choose to use my French curve if I want to, or I can choose to freehold it. Now, what we don't want, and I'll show you the don't wants, if I put my ruler, guys looking at the screen, if I put my ruler along that dart line here, I don't want this new curvy line, I don't want it coming over and exceeding or creeping into where that ruler is. The ruler is my stop sign basically. So when I draw, put my ruler there, when I draw my new curved line, my curvy line should never come over and interfere with this side of the ruler. It should only ever come on that side of the ruler. Okay, so curvy line. So it's halfway. So I've just looked at that armhole, eyeballed it halfway and put a point and then curved it in. We're going to do the same on our back, except it's not going to be halfway on our back. We're going to divide our back armhole into thirds. So my back armhole, I'm going to divide it into thirds. So I've got 3 sections, and once again eyeballing it, choose the top third. Okay, so back armhole, divide it into thirds, choose the top third and do a mark for me. If we did it halfway, you'd find that the angle would be too sharp. To go from your dart into that would be too sharp. And the same thing, nice smooth curve. And if you put your ruler on one of the dart lines, must not interfere or cross over from that. I might use my French curve, I think. If it's not right, just rub it out, fix it. Yep.
Is that looking right?
Hang on 1 second, hon, let me finish what I'm doing.
Sorry.
So we did that. Remember, our back was thirds, the top third. 2 will be 1 and 2. This is perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. This is 2 will be, so it will come down. whooping, the same thing. The top half is too whooping, pointless. The bottom half's good, but coming into your armhole, it's too much.
For the front or back?
For both. Okay guys, I'm just going to use Nikita's as an example. I want you to come over and have a look at it, because this is probably another common thing that probably half of you would have already done. You need to fix up. So when we look at this shape, and we put our ruler up here, she hasn't exceeded, she hasn't hooked it out here. What she's done is that the shape here is a bit too whooping and shapy. So I'm going to go from there, lose about 5 mils off, and then about halfway come back in. And the same on her back, that's too shaped for me. I'm going to come in about 5 mils to nothing there, in about 5 mils, and then come out here. Okay, so it's too shapy here, too shapy here. And the reason for too shapy there will make it hard for you to sew. Okay, if it's more of a flat curve, it'll be easier for you to sew. Okay, so if you've got that error, have a look at it and fix it. And then as soon as you fixed it, call me over and I will check it for you.